Hello, my name is Michael. I am from the Netherlands. When I was 16, I liked a girl at school and I loved her so much. Her name was Sarah. She was a very beautiful and attractive girl. All school boys liked to be with her. I was playing football at the time, but I wasn't famous yet and no one took me serious. I had a competitor at school at the time. His name was Chris. He was very handsome and all girls loved him. Chris was always around Sarah and I envied him. But they seemed to be just ordinary friends and they didn't have a romantic relationship. But I was always jealous that Sarah was intimate with Chris, and I was nervous, but I couldn't do anything about it. I told myself that I was not like Chris and she would probably never be friends with someone like me. One day when the class was over and I was leaving, Sarah and I had an accident and my book fell out. Sarah and I both laughed when this happened and Sarah helped me collect my book. After collecting the books, I introduced myself to her. Hello, I'm Michael. She also greeted me and said, hello, I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you, and that was the start of our friendship and finally our relationship. After that we went home together every day after school and talked a lot. I always wanted school to end soon and we go home together. Everything was very good during 1 year and we were very good together. I also continued to play football during this year, and this hurt my lessons and I was expelled from school after a while. I was very upset when I was expelled from school, and on the other hand, I didn't know if I would really become a footballer one day or not. My family was in a normal financial situation at that time, and I always wanted to be both rich and famous, and I hope that football helps me achieve this goal. Meanwhile, when I was expelled from school, I could no longer be with Sarah after school, and she went home alone. After that, Sarah's morals had changed a bit and she was arguing with me about everything. I expected Sarah to support my dream of becoming a footballer at that time, but she didn't. She didn't take my goal serious at all and kept saying, go and find a job. Until one day, when I went to school to surprise Sarah, I saw that Sarah came out with Chris. But this time, they held each other's hands. I angrily stepped forward and told Chris, let go of my girlfriend's hand, bitch. Chris laughed insidiously and said, your girlfriend? Who said that? Sarah is my girlfriend. Sarah looked at me and said with a sad look, I didn't want you to understand like this. I wanted to finish everything with you, but I couldn't do that face to face. I don't like you anymore. I love Chris. I left there with sadness and tears, but I kept thinking about Chris's evil laughs and Sarah's betrayal. In short, a few months passed and one day I decided to end my grief and I said to myself, I have to become famous one day to take revenge on Sarah and Chris. I started training again and I went to a few clubs to take a football test, until one day when I was testing, one of the famous managers of a famous German team, who had a training camp in our country, saw my game and liked it very much. He came to me and said, you are wonderful. I didn't know who that person was at that time. He said, who is your manager? I said with surprise, manager? I don't have any manager. He laughed and handed over his card and said, come to our team's training tomorrow. After seeing his card, I was very surprised. I couldn't believe that I had to go to the training of one of the best teams in Europe. I went to test for an ordinary team, but now I have to go to the training of a very popular and famous team. I didn't sleep that night out of happiness. The next day I went to training. I couldn't believe that I can see all the famous players and I'm going to be their teammate. They all treated me kindly and I was supposed to go with them to Germany. My success process started from there, and after a few months I became a star. Almost all Europe knew me. I had about 5 million followers in my Instagram. One day while I was reading my directs, I saw that Sarah had sent me a message. I couldn't believe that I saw Sarah's name. She wrote to me, hello Michael. I'm so glad that you're successful. I always believed in you. Forgive me for leaving you. Let's be together again, I wrote to her. Did you believe in me? Meanwhile, you didn't leave me, you betrayed me with Chris. She said to me, give me your number, let me talk to you and explain. I gave my number to her to see what she wants to say. She called and started apologizing and saying that Chris was so bastard and left her. After that, I told her, everything is over and I have nothing to do with the girl who left me once. I hung up the phone when she wanted to answer my statement. After that, she kept calling me, but I didn't answer. After that, I decided to do an interesting move and complete my revenge. From then on, whenever I scored a goal in a game, I put my hand on my ear for joy after the goal, as if someone was talking to me on the phone. This happiness became very famous and people everywhere imitated my move. I was very happy that I finally got my revenge on Sarah. Sarah didn't deserve my love and she still has no right to have me. This was my story. What do you think? Was it a good revenge?